So Miles, now that we have all of this information that we scraped, the next thing we have to do is we have to put it somewhere where we can open it up and actually view it. And that is going to be Google Sheets. So what I'm gonna do right now is open up another Google Sheet. And this is a brand new sheet that we're gonna have to create right now on the spot. So I'm just gonna give it a quick name. Gonna name it Miles Info Dump. Okay, I'm gonna leave it as it is. And so now what we have to do is we have to create the titles for our columns. This is where that information is gonna get dumped into so we can figure out which column it belongs to. Now, Miles, which information do we care about, right? We have information overload here. We have all this extra shit that we don't really care about. What is it that we care about in order to actually know who the people that we're talking to is, what their phone number is, and everything we need to sell to them? What is that information that we care about? So let's go by one by one, right? You said their title. That's the first one. Title obviously means the name of the company. So I'm going to jump back here and I'm going to name the first column company name. Okay, that's the very first piece of information that we need. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to do the same thing for everything that we care about, but we're just going to create a column name for that information. So that way, when we dump it inside of Google Sheets, it goes in the correct column for us later to read and understand what the hell we're reading. And by the way, these column names is just basically the names of these right here. Okay, that's all it is. So let's just say we wanted the address. We're just going to use the word address because we can see that this is one of the pieces of information that we pulled. I'm going to jump back here. I'm going to type in address and I'm going to go to the next field. What is the next thing that we care about? Do we care about their street and city and state? Yes. So I'm just going to jump back here and say, you know what? I want their street and I want the city and I want the state and I want the state. So 3 different columns: address, street, city, state. This is just the address separated out. And let's see, what else do we have here, right? We have their website and we have their phone number. So we definitely want their website and we definitely want their phone number. So I'm going to jump back here. I'm going to create a website column and I'm going to create a phone number column. Do we care about zip code? Probably not. Do we care about latitude and longitude? Probably not. Do we care about anything else that shows here? Do we care about the URL or the reviews or any of that shit? No, we're pretty much done at this point. This is all the information that we genuinely care about because this is what we're going to use to contact this business. So now that we have this Google Sheet created with the right columns for the information that we want, we get to now connect Google Sheet inside of this automation. So I'm going to open a plus sign and I'm going to search for Google Sheets. And Miles, I want you to tell me, what do you think is the thing that we're going to be searching for? What are we actually trying to do inside of this Google Sheet, just based off of us having a bunch of information here? And we have a Google Sheet right here. What do you think we need to do inside of this Google Sheet module? You notice how these operations are filtered by category? So do we want to do anything in a specific cell, right? This is one cell right here, one square. Do we want whatever we do to always happen to one square? Automatically, everything inside of cells we don't care about. Do we care about anything sheets-wise? Are we creating a brand new sheet? Are we adding a sheet? Are we copying a sheet? Is the thing that we're trying to do related to a brand new sheet at all? No, it is not. So everything inside of sheets, we don't care about. And the only other column under that is other. We don't want to make an API call. This is not. So obviously, by process of elimination, we are in the rows thing. Now, say we have 10 rows, okay? 10 rows of information. What do you think we have to do inside of this Google Sheet right here?
Bulk update rows. Advanced.
And this is the wrong choice as well. And I want you to pay attention to the wording. What is the difference between bulk update row and bulk add row? What's the difference? This one adds rows one by one. Okay, this one adds a row one by one. This one updates an existing row and it only updates that one row. Okay, are we constantly updating the same row? Like, let's just say we're dumping a bunch of information in one row and then the next set of information comes in and we're just replacing that old information that we just updated. Is that what we're doing?
No.
That's not what we're doing, right? What that would look like is this. And then the next time we get a brand new set of information, this gets deleted and it becomes something else. Is that what we're doing?
No.
No, this makes absolutely no sense. We're not updating one row. Now,
Add.
are we adding a row for every set of information that we get? Yes, we are 100% adding a brand new row for every business and all of the information that pertains to that business. Now, the difference between this one and this one is this one lets you do multiple rows at the same exact run. You don't have to use this, okay? This one takes a little bit more configuration. What we can do is we can add a brand new row for every single business that we end up scraping. And so I'm going to click this add a row module and it's going to ask me, okay, what is the name of your spreadsheet? If you don't see the configurations, that means you have to connect your Google Sheets. And the way to do that is by clicking this big connect button that you would see right here, or by clicking add, naming your connection, blah, 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 sign in with Google. And then you're just going to select whatever Google account that you have your Google Sheets existing in. Once you do that, it's going to be done. This is not like Gmail, okay? This is way, way simpler. So now that I have my account connected, I am obviously searching inside of my drive. The only other options is shared with me. Is this Google Sheets something that's shared with me? No, this is something that I created. I'm going to keep this on my drive. And right here, it's asking for this spreadsheet name. We already named this Miles Info Dump. Do you see it at the top left? So this is the name that we're going to be looking for inside of this. We're going to click here to choose a file. And then it's going to load up all the files that are existing inside of our Google Sheets. And look at this. What is this?
Miles Info Dump.
Miles Info Dump. This is the exact same sheet that we have here. Now, notice something. When we clicked on Miles Info Dump, it's going to ask us for a sheet name. Jump down here and you can see that we only have one sheet, right? We don't have multiple sheets. If we had a Google Sheet where there was like 3 or 4 different sheets, and we're dumping information into different sheets based on some sort of thing that we're filtering by, then we would obviously choose a specific sheet that we want to dump into. But we don't have that. We only have one specific sheet. So this doesn't matter to us, right? We're just going to select the sheet that we already have. So now if I go back into Make, I'm going to click on sheet name, and you can see the only name existing is sheet 1, which is where our information is being dumped into. This is sheet 1 right here. This is what you're looking at. This is all of this is sheet 1. So now that I have sheet 1 selected, it's asking us, does the table contain headers? The answer is yes. And what that means is basically, do you have a bunch of titles as headers as the very, very first row? We definitely have titles. We have company name, phone number, address, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So this answer is yes. And now it's telling us use column headers as IDs. We're just going to keep this as no. That's the default. And look at this, Miles. These are the column names that we literally specifically named inside of here. You can see it found company name, phone number, address, street, city, blah, blah, blah. It's all right here. Company name, phone number, address, street, city, state, website, phone number. This is exactly what we wrote down here. And you can see I has absolutely nothing on it. So you can see right now, there's nothing on here. This is the columns that we just created. And what do you think we have to do next, Miles?
We're going to map it.
We are going to map it. That's exactly what we're going to do, bro. We're going to open up company name, and we're going to look for where company name exists right here, which is obviously title, right? So I'm going to drag title, drop it in here, and we're going to do the same exact thing for all the other columns. So I'm going to go to phone number, and the phone number is right here. The address is right here. Street is right here. And then city is right here. Look at this. It's literally as easy as this. We're just mapping all the information so that way when that information goes into Google Sheets, it knows exactly which place it needs to belong to, right? It's going to be for that specific column. So now that we have everything mapped that we care about, what do you think we should do next?
Save.
We're going to click save. And then what do you think we should do after here? Always save, bro. If you see yellow around the big save right here, make sure you press it. You don't want to lose your work, bro. If anything happens, if the electricity goes out, if your computer crashes, whatever the fuck, everything you did is not going to be there. So you have to make sure you click save down here so that way this yellow button is not highlighting yellow. And now what we get to do is we get to test the entire automation from the beginning to end and make sure that it's actually dumping that information inside of here. So I'm going to do it in front of you right now in real time. We're going to click run once, wait for new data, and now it's waiting for that actor to run where? Inside of Appify. Technically, I should have ran this literally like 20 seconds into the Appify run because we don't want that webhook to time out. So I'm going to jump back here. I'm going to click start, and now this actor is running. While this is running, now I'm going to jump back into make.com. I'm literally going to give it like probably 10 more seconds before I click this run once because I want it so that when this finishes, this immediately is listening and it catches that information. So now I just click run once, wait for new data, obviously because we're waiting for new pieces of information to come from this actor right here. And now it is listening, right? It is literally just waiting for the actor to finish its run. You can see that it's running at the top left right here. It's telling us where it's at right now. It's at 42 seconds. Let's just give it about 30 to 40 more seconds and this should be good to go. We can see it actually trigger in real time. We're going to be able to literally see this trigger in real time, and then as it finishes here, we're going to open up the Google Sheet and see if it did its job and put all the information where we mapped it. I just realized I fucked up because we had a sleep module in the middle, and technically we don't need that sleep module because now we're running the actor here. So just to make this way quicker so that way we don't have to actually wait 100 seconds when this runs, I removed the sleep module, and I'm going to click run once one more time and just run it all over so that way you guys can see a brand new run actually happen the way it is meant to happen instead of the sleep module right here that I just forgot to fucking remove. So now we're running once, waiting for new data, and now it is listening. It's waiting for the actor to finish, and when this finishes, as soon as I see this go green, I'm going to jump into the Google Sheet so we can hopefully catch it actually dump everything in real time, right? Let's see what happens. So boom, actor just finished. I open this up and look at this, bro. It loaded up one by one every single thing that we just mapped. We have the company names, phone numbers, addresses, street, city, website. You can see this. Look at this section right here. All the websites, bro. If I open this up, boom, brand new company. Open this up. Boom, brand new company. Every single thing from the scrape data that we just pulled got dumped into Google Sheets immediately, bro. Now we just verified that everything we're scraping, all the local businesses information is getting dumped inside of here within like 30 seconds of us just running this without us having to do a single thing. This is a very important milestone, bro, because now we have officially set up this scraping part for our AI local outreach system right here. Boom, you can see that, bro. It just did this on its own. We didn't have to do a single thing, man. So Miles, now that we officially tested this on 6 scrape businesses and we verified that it's dumping into the Google Sheet, before I jump into the next part, I'm just going to give you a very quick checkpoint. I'm going to ask you a few different questions, and everybody that's following along, you should know the answer to these questions. But if not, let's just go ahead and recalibrate and make sure that we're on the same page about what we're doing and why we're doing it. So first of all, first thing I'm going to do is, what is this logo right here, Miles? What does this do? What's the purpose of this? Do you remember how I told you in an AI system that you're building and make, wherever this lands is the very first module that runs in the system? So if I took this and I dragged it and put it on here, I just told Make that every time I run this, if I click run once, look what ran. This guy ran, okay? It didn't start where we wanted it, which is right here. So with that being said, wherever this thing exists, that's where the start of the automation is. And you can see there's different types. So on this one, on this module, it says run an actor. This one can only be ran at a schedule. Whereas if you have a webhook, look at the logo, how it's going to change. Boom, it became a bolt icon. So this tells us that this is a webhook. So whatever the actual logo ends up being, it tells you what kind of trigger this is, whether it's a scheduled one or whether it's a webhook. And mainly you're going to have these two types of triggers inside of make.com right here. They're not going to be anything other than usually a webhook or a trigger, because they either trigger themselves or they are triggered by something else externally. Now, if I wanted to run just a module by itself, what do I do?
You disconnect it.
No.
Oh, you click on it and then you just do run this
module only. And so every time I right click and click run this module only, it will run with whatever settings I have here. Now that I have this opened up, what is the difference between this, what you're seeing right now, and me just typing in here? What's the difference between that?
It's not going to continuously change. The data set is going to stay the same. So if you just put that one in there, it's always going to stay like that regardless. So then whenever you go and scrape a new business, it's not going to change. It's
not going to get the new field. Exactly. And so just to reiterate the terminology so that way you're familiar with it, what this is a static piece of information. And the reason why it's called static is because it doesn't move. It stays the exact same way. It never is going to change. So if I click save right now and we ran this and this module actually ran, it will run with whatever is in here because it is static, right? So if I change this and I come here and I want to put a field that will rotate and change every single time this automation runs based on what the information behind it is, what do I do right here, Miles? So if I don't want to do static, I want it so that way the piece of information is not the same every time, that it changes based on whatever changes happened from the module before it. What would I do to make that happen in here?
The default data ID right there.
And what was the process that we're doing called?
Mapping it?
Mapping, exactly. We are mapping this right here, and what this is called a dynamic variable. The reason why it's called dynamic is because whatever information is behind this, right? You can see that this gray little preview shows you what information is behind this variable. So every time you see this variable, replace it with whatever this is. Mind you, this is just a preview. So the next time we run it, this value changes. It doesn't stay O, G, Q, S, whatever. It's going to create a brand new one. And so if we want that brand new one to replace this every single time it runs with a brand new thing, then we're going to make sure that the variable is mapped here. And this is called a dynamic variable, okay? The reason why it's called dynamic is because it changes, whereas static stays the same, okay? That's the biggest difference between that. And perfect, so that is the correct answer. And now, obviously, if I wanted to run the entire thing, I would click the purple button. And what happens is if it's a webhook, it's gonna be listening for things. So webhooks are triggered from things happening outside of make.com, and whenever that thing happens, that's what's going to trigger it and let it actually run. And you remember me doing that because this triggers when the actor finishes scraping. That's the difference between a webhook and a scheduled trigger. So Miles, let's just say now I wanted to look at the previous runs and what actually happened when it ran. The way that I can do that is by clicking on the scenario, and the very first time you click it, before you actually click inside of it to edit it, you're going to see a right side that says history, and you can see these are the runs. You can see which ones were successful. You can see how long it took. You can see how many operations. You can see if it was triggered manually or if it was triggered by the automation itself. So let's just say I wanted to know what was the last thing that happened when this scenario ran. What I would be able to do, Miles, is I can click on this run and notice what happens when I click. As soon as I click it, it literally loads up as if the automation just now finished. And you can see if I expand, this shows me 6 operations because it dumped 6 different pieces of information inside of our Google Sheet. And this was something that we did after we exited. So the quickest way to look at the history of the runs is by clicking into it. And on the right side, you're going to see all the history, and then you can dig into it and figure out what happened. Now, while we're here, bro, I just want to take a look at something. Notice how the address, street, city, and state didn't show up for the last business here. Let's just say I want to find out why that happened, right? And this is a normal part of troubleshooting, okay? This, what I'm about to show you right now, is how you're going to be able to dig into the system and figure out why things happened and how they happened. So I want to figure out why this piece of information didn't dump here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Google Sheets, okay? And obviously I can see that this is the very last row. So most likely this is going to be the very, very last operation. Every single operation is for a specific row because we're adding only one row. So every time a row gets added, that's one operation, and every operation is one business. And we can see that we have 6 of them because we have 6 different businesses. So if I expand the 6th one, I can see what went into it as input, and the output usually is just going to be a success confirmation because all it's doing is adding a row. So let's just look into it and find out what it is that went into this for the 6th operation. And by the way, in the input, you're going to see a bunch of random information that you might not care about, like spreadsheet name, ID, whatever. My best advice for trying to find what you're looking for is every time you see a category like this that you can expand into with a plus sign, open it up. 9 times out of 10, that is where your information is going to live. So you can see in here, values in column, this Google Sheet, this operation got a company name, it got a phone number, it got a website, and it got phone number again because we have the phone number. So it literally just did not receive as input these pieces of information that were missing. Otherwise, I would see address, street, and city, and state. And I can confirm that actually by going to the previous operation, which would be looking at this specific row right here. And then I'm going to dig into that one, open up the plus sign, and I can see that this one did get a street, a city, a state. So here's the difference between operation 5 and operation 6 is the fact that this guy didn't even get it as pieces of information. So this leads me to think, why did it not get it? Obviously, this module is getting its information from the module right before it, meaning that information needed to have came from this get dataset ID module. So now I'm going to open up this module and I'm going to go to bundle 6 because that's the very last row that I'm investigating, right? And I'm going to see what happened here. I'm going to open this up and let's just see, right? This is the piece of information that came out of the scraper. and we're missing an address. So you can see address is empty. And the reason it did that is because I guarantee you, if I go and search this right here, these guys never put in their address with Google when they were signing up their business with Google. That's 100% what happened, because that's the only way this business is able to not have an address that's being pulled from the Google Maps scraper, because all this information is coming straight from Google. So this tells me that their address just wasn't thrown in inside of it. So let's just double check that real quick, right? Bulldog Plumbing, and I'm gonna say Farmington, right? That's what it is. So here's their website, okay? You guys can see immediately they don't have a Google card. You know what I mean? That card when you search up something and it shows you like their phone number, their address, all that stuff. The only thing these guys have is a website. So we just confirmed that they never submitted their information to Google. They never registered their business with Google. All of the information that we scraped is purely off of their existence of their website. If this was something that was on Google, then it would look kind of like, let's just say this one, right? We're gonna check this guy out and see what these guys look like, right? I'm gonna search it up and look at this. This is the card that I'm talking about. When this card shows up right here, this tells us that this website is submitted to Google. And these guys took the time to fill out the address. Obviously, this doesn't exist for our other friend, so we weren't even able to pull the address. And that's probably the same case for the street, city, and state. It's just because they never submitted it to Google. So you see how I was able to quickly figure out why something didn't show up, and I just made sure that it wasn't something broken. The main way to do that is, Miles, is by opening up the output and literally starting at the very, very last one where that output would have mattered. Obviously, if I had like 3 more modules after this, I wouldn't care about that because those modules don't have to deal with the Google Sheet. This is the last stop that I'm investigating because I want to know why these didn't show up. So I'm going to go to the last stop in this automation, which would be this Google Sheet, and then I'm going to expand it, and I'm going to look at the operation that would have happened if this thing did what it needed to do. And then if I see something weird, I'm going to do the same thing to the module before it, and the one before it, and the one before it, and I'm going to keep doing that until I find where things went wrong. This is a core process when you guys are going to be building and troubleshooting AI automation, is you're going to want to know why and how things happened. And the way you do that is by expanding the results and literally taking a look at the output and digging into it and seeing what exists and what doesn't exist and what could have potentially went wrong from the configuration and from the results that are coming out of it, both input and output. Now, let me point something out very, very quickly. When you're building an AI system that starts with a webhook and pieces of information get sent to your AI system, but the webhook wasn't really ready or listening, either because the automation wasn't on or because you didn't run it manually, basically the webhook was turned off. You have to always make sure that the webhook is turned on when information gets sent to it. Otherwise, you are going to see something like this. So this is telling me is, hey, there were 5 records, 5 things sent to your webhook, but because your webhook wasn't turned on, these things never actually processed. They're just in a line, literally waiting, right? So if I open up show queue, I can see that there were 5 different sends to our webhook at different times. And the reason why these are here is because they probably got sent before we had our webhook turned on. So always make sure that whenever you're testing your webhook, make sure that is actually on. Otherwise, the information is going to be waiting in a queue right here. It's not going to be processed. And you can see this because if I expand the details, this is literally all the information that was sent. And obviously this doesn't make sense to you guys because this is coming from the actor. And I can see that because I can already see Appify's name right here, right? I don't need to dig into what all of this is. But the point is make sure that when you guys are doing testing with involving a webhook, make sure that webhook is actually turned on. Otherwise, the next time you run it, it's going to say, do you want to use that existing data that was sent to your webhook that you never processed before? Or do you want to wait for brand new data? Obviously, if we don't care about that information that was sent to it, we're going to wait for new data and boom, now it is listening all over again, right? It cleared out that queue. So let's move on to the next step, right? Let's just say now we have all of that information dumping, right? What is the next logical thing we have to do? As you can see, we have, what's that?
Reach out to the companies.
Not just yet, because part of our AI system is we're going to have an AI go to their websites and do all of that analysis. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing next, okay? We're going to have to do 2 things with the websites that we pulled. The very first one is find all the emails for the employees that work, because we're going to be doing a search on this domain. And the second thing is we have to configure that AI that's going to go to these websites and do a full analysis so that way it helps us write that personalized message that goes out to them.
So we're gonna have a AI go on their or in their websites and then pull their emails so that we can reach out to them through their email.
So let's look at our roadmap, right? We have Google Maps scraping, and that's the very first step, and that's for Appify. So now what we can do is, because we technically just did this, we are gonna mark this as done, okay? The very next step is gonna be email discovery. This is gonna be us figuring out which emails belong to these guys. This is going to be us finding the employees' emails so that way we even can reach out to them in the first place. And that's going to be done through AnyMail Finder. So now I'm going to introduce you to AnyMail Finder. I'm going to tell you what it is and how to use it. It is extremely simple. So I'm going to log into the dashboard brand new, and then I'm going to show you guys how to configure this section right here. Now, obviously, we can see this is going to be free for 30 days. And after that, it's going to be $14 for 50 emails because we're going to get 50 credits, and every credit results to an email being found. I'm probably going to create my account and actually activate the 3 days on testing, man. But I'm probably going to end up using my other account because I have another account that probably has like $900 worth of credits inside of it. And I just have no reason, like I have nothing to use them against. I'm probably going to use that one for the time where we actually need to use AnyMail Finder. But right now, since we're not doing that, I'm going to pretend that I'm signing up for the first time. So that way you guys can see the flow of where everything is and how it happens the first time you do it. Also, off the table, right? Completely off the table. This is one of the websites that we just pulled up, like in testing. I just pulled it up as one of my browser. You can see the very first thing on your landing page is a form. So technically, you can sell to these guys a system that every time somebody submits information to this form, it will do exactly what our system that we very first time built together, Miles, that will take all that information and send a personalized response back to them. This is a perfect example, like a real world example for that, bro. This is a random website, and the first thing they want is for customers to fill out this form. So you understanding webhooks and you doing that very first like 4-module system of the auto personalized respondents that we did for our website, literally just open up the door for you to sell that to these guys right now. Because now you can say to them, yo, I see you guys have a form on your landing page. What if I can have an AI that will watch every single submission that gets sent by a customer and do some sort of personalized response, get a bunch of extra information, whatever it may be? This is a perfect real world use case for that. So for AnyMail Finder, I'm just going to start with Google, and I'm going to go to AnyMail Finder. I'm just going to search it up, and you're going to see this website right here. It's called anymailfinder.com. I'm going to open it up, and right here on the top right, you're going to see a login button. We're going to click on login. Actually, we're going to click on sign up, and we're going to click sign up with Google, just like we've been doing every single time we sign up for something new. I'm going to click on my testing man account, jump down here, continue, and give it all the allows and permissions that it wants. And you can see, boom, immediately it gave us an account. Now this account right here, you guys can see we have 0 credits. This is a brand new thing. So the only way for us to get credits is by starting our 3-day trial, which at this point, if you're using AnyMail Finder for the very first time, you would click this and then you would just continue with this section right here, and then you're going to get your 100 free credits instantly. After 3 days, you're going to be enrolled in the standard plan. You can cancel that obviously before the 3 days, but this is your go-to if you're just not following this. Now, I told you guys I already have an account with a shit ton of credits, so I'm going to switch to that right now, and I'm going to continue the part that we're going to be actually configuring for our system. All right, so boom, I just logged into my account, and you guys can see I have 39,000 credits. How much that is probably more than $1,000. And with me having this many credits, I'm probably gonna open up the door for you guys to, you know what I mean? If you're broke as hell and you need some credits, send me a DM. I'll probably be able to figure this out for you and let you use a few. Obviously, I'm not gonna use all of them unless I have some crazy campaign running, which I probably will at some point, but that doesn't matter. Look, what the dashboard right here says is we're gonna have 2 ways of using it. The very first way is by logging in to AnyMail Finder and actually doing it here. And the second way is going to be the way that I've been teaching you guys, which is directly through
API.
Let's go! Yes! The other way is API. Oh shit, I just leaked my API key. Who cares, bro? I'm probably going to rotate it. I'm going to change it later. But anyways, we now, as soon as you go to the API section, you're going to see your API key. And guess what, Miles? We're going to take this API key and we are going to dump it inside of make.com. So now we're going to connect whatever we need to connect. We're going to search for AnyMail Finder, and you can guess what is the thing that we're trying to do, Miles. What should I select here?
Find a decision maker's email.
We actually want to
Or
find
find
all emails. This one is probably going to be the one that we want for local businesses because local businesses don't have that many fucking employees, okay? We don't want to use this in like a fucking 4,000 employee company. Obviously, at that point, we would use a decision maker because if you have a big ass company that has a few thousand or a few hundred employees, then you're going to want to only find the decision makers. But if you're wanting to find all of the emails, that's going to be something that applies to local businesses because they're not that big. So I'm going to click find all emails at a company. And as soon as I click that, you can see it's asking us for company domain, company name, and email type. So company domain, this is just going to be their website. That's all it means. Okay. Domain just means website. So it's going to be asking us, what is that website that you want me to search? Every single thing right here is searchable. And down here, there's a drop down that says email type. It could be any, it could be generic, or do you want their personal ones? I'm going to leave this completely open so that way we can get anything that it finds. So let me just prove to you guys and show you how this actually works. So this right here is my website, okay? This is how businesses in my city used to go and get a hold of me for me to build AI system for them, okay? It is a very, very simple landing page. It is nothing crazy, but this website right here, what I'm gonna do right now is show you guys how an email finder is gonna use it to find my email. I'm gonna go to the URL right here, which is the domain, and then I'm gonna copy it, all right? I'm gonna jump back into here, and then I'm gonna statically paste it inside of the module, okay? We're not dynamically doing it yet because we're just testing only for this website, the pure.ai. I'm going to click save now, okay? And I'm going to right click and I'm going to click run this module only. Now watch what happens when I click run this module. So right now it's doing its search. It just finished and it came out successful. And if I open up the output, you can see there's an expandable category that says emails, right? And if I open this up, boom, here's my email. An email finder was able to find my professional email just by me giving it my website. So this is the power of an email finder, right? You're going to be able to feed it all of those websites that we just found dynamically, one by one, because we're going to be mapping the variable. And then we're going to get a huge list that shows you all of the emails of the employees that work there. Now, mind you, you have two different sections here. You have emails it found, and then you have a section that says valid emails. If it's under valid emails, that means this email is 100% being used, verified, and is active. So this is your bingo card, okay? You might potentially find emails here, but if they don't show up here, that tells you this email is a hit or miss. It might exist, but they might not be using it. So the emails that you really care about is the valid emails, which are going to be expanded under this valid emails section. Does that make sense, Miles?
Yeah.
So now at this point, we just configured an email finder. What do we have to do? We have to remove this static thing and we have to feed it all of the websites. How do you think we're going to be able to do that here, Miles? So the first question I'm going to ask you is which module is outputting their websites out of the train that we just built so far?
The Google Sheets.
No, the Google Sheets is a destination for the websites to be dumped into. That's not where the source, that's not where the websites are actually coming from. Where's the source that the websites are actually coming from?
So why wouldn't we put an email finder in front of the Google Sheets?
The reason why is because it literally doesn't matter, bro. I could
Oh,
technically
okay.
put an email finder here and then dump all the information and it would do the exact same thing. It genuinely does not matter. Like this is just the order that it happened to be because that's just the order that we built it in. So if I switch these, it would not change a single thing. The information would still get dumped here and we still have the module that is outputting the website, which is still going to be inserted here. Now here's where it matters, Miles. Let's just say I took an email finder and I decided I'm going to throw it in between these two. Does this work, Miles? Let me know right now.
No.
Why does that not work?
Because you're gonna have to use the second Appify, the one in that one, to put in to web in the
to map
company email, to map the company email.
Exactly, bro. That's a beautiful point. Every module can only pull the information from the module before it, right? So if I open this up and I just clicked on company domain, you're gonna see the only thing that is selectable is the first module. That's it. That's the only option I have. I can't see anything ahead because these ones don't even exist yet in the eyes of this module. So you want to make sure that the order that you're putting things in makes sense to when that information actually exists in your automation inside of Make. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to map it. It just won't exist, bro. So now that I switched these two, you know what? I did throw an email finder instead of Google Sheets. So I now should be able to theoretically map things from the previous modules. And let me show you something. If I click this, why did this not update, Miles? Why do I still only see the first module? I don't even see the second one. Why do you think that is?
You didn't save it?
Oh, you know what? Let me save it. Boom, I just saved it. And I opened it up. And I still, oh shit.
Save it.
Nope.
Yeah.
So the reason why, so you're right, bro. The reason why is because I didn't save it. And I just saved it, opened it up, and here it is. Here's the second module, and here's the first one. Now I can see both of them. So what do you think we have to do inside of this box right here?
Map the website.
We are going to be mapping the website because an email finder needs a website to pull the information from it, right? So we're going to click save.
Would you fill out all the other information like company name?
You notice there's not a required asterisk next to them. And because there's not a required asterisk, that tells me these are optional. So I don't need to fill out company name. I don't need to fill out email type. If I wanted to specifically only pull generic emails, right? Let's just say a company has one email that's like support@companyname.com, and they have 6 other emails that belong to actual people. And I don't want the 6 ones that belong to people. I only want the support@blah.com. Then I can do this. And then that will only pull that generic email. And by the way, this is one of the paths. Remember, I said that our automation is going to treat this differently because when it writes the personalized message, it's going to be directing it to team instead of a person's first name. That's literally the second path. So I don't want just these. I don't want just personal ones. I want any because I'm going to be able to use both of them based on what they are. I don't have to use company name, so I'm going to leave this okay. So now, Miles, we have a module that is outputting people's emails from their website. What do you think we need to do next? I'm going to open up my Google Sheet right now. Do we have that information here in our Google Sheet?
No, you're going to have to add email into I.
We're going to have to add email. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to add the word email. All right, so we're throwing the word email here. Now, we got a little tiny situation, Miles. What if the company has more than one email? Okay, we're obviously not going to be able to put all of those emails in one cell. It would be a lot cleaner if we had like email 1 and then email 2, right? Email 3. And we can quickly look at the row and see all the emails on their own separate cells that belong to this company. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? Wouldn't you agree this would be a lot cleaner? But so far, we haven't done a test where the output of the email finder gave us more than one email. So I wonder what that even looks like, right? I wonder what this is going to look like if we had more than one email. So what I'm going to do right now is just randomly test any of these to see if any of them have more than one email. And then from there, I'm going to see what an email finder actually gives us when there's multiple emails. So I'm going to come down here and then I'm going to remove this just temporarily. I'm going to make it static and then I'm going to click save. Then I'm going to run once by itself. And let's just see, right? How many emails here? Okay, so we can see valid emails with an S, meaning there's more than one. And boom, look at this. We got 9. We got 9 emails just for this specific domain right here. And we can see also their first and last name. So this guy like Terry Lawson. We have Jennifer S. We have Jay Payne. We have Mark, all these different people. Here's all their emails. And we can see that some of them have their first name and last name in there. Some of them have only their first name, which means the majority of this is going to get a personalized message to them because the AI is going to look at these emails and find out that Terry is probably the owner of this email. So we're going to be directing our message to Terry.
Well, what if it's like an enterprise? Because I know Roto-Rooter is like a big corporation. You know what I mean?
How big is it?
Pretty damn big. Like there's a Roto-Rooter in almost every big city in the United States. You know what I mean?
That's actually a good question. I've thought about it.
Look up Roto-Rooter.
No, I believe you because I see them here in our city.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some sort of limitation to how many you're gonna be able to get out of an email finder. Because obviously, like if we just throw in McDonald's.com, it's not gonna give us like all fucking 5,000 emails for everybody in there. But I guarantee you, it's probably gonna give you a few that are usable, which is gonna be the ones that it verifies and knows that it's valid, belonging to Roto-Rooter. Now, we don't really have configuration as to exactly how many we're going to be able to pull from an email finder. The job for this is just to find valid ones until a point where it thinks this is enough for what you need. So I actually don't know. I think I'm probably gonna jump into an email finder documentation and search this. I'm literally like at this point, you just asked me a question I'm not 100% sure of. I'm gonna search for it. I'm gonna go inside of let me do this.
We asked ChatGPT.
So let's just quickly search for it because I genuinely don't know. Like that's a good question. So I'm gonna jump back here and I'm gonna say, actually before I do that, I'm gonna go and find any mail finders documentation. Remember, because obviously if this information exists, it's probably gonna exist inside of the documentation. And I hope that they have some sort of documentation. So let's just see. Email finder API, email search and lookup. Find email finder API docs. So this is probably what we're looking for right here. Okay, so this is it. This is their documentation. We can see all the different parts of the API that they have here. I'm gonna copy this documentation. I'm gonna jump back into GPT. I'm gonna say, look through this documentation and do your own research about email finders. What was the thing that we used with it? It was find all emails at a company API endpoint. I'm gonna say I would like to know what happens if I give it a domain where there are a few hundred employees. Do I get all of them or only a few? And I'm gonna add a little bit more content. I'm gonna say currently using within make.com. Let's see what happens. I actually don't know. So I just sent this through. I'm going to let it think and do its own research. It's going to look at the API documentation and it's going to look specifically for the find all emails at a company API endpoint, right? So the reason why I used endpoint is that module outside of it being a module is just an endpoint. That's what it's called. And so right now it says, okay, if you're using email finders API endpoint on make, you do not get all employees when you pass a domain. You get up to 20 emails max. Okay, so here's the answer to your question. This is gonna return only up to 20 email addresses. There's no offset parameters documented for this endpoint. It's designed as give me a sample list, not a full directory dump. That's what it is. So it's only gonna give you a small list of what it found based on the thing that you're dumping into, which actually makes a lot more sense because, you know, Roto-Rooter is a much bigger company, but we got 9 valid emails here. And it's thinking, you know what? If you're going to be contacting them, you're not going to be contacting every single one of them. So I'm just going to give you the ones that I think you should probably contact so I'm just going to give you a list of ones that are usable for your use case, which is probably what happened here. Good question though. Actually, I never thought about that. So every time I ran this though, I only used the output that came out of it. I never really wanted a few hundred from an email finder. So I never really crossed my mind. So now knowing what we know, that we can get up to 9. Theoretically, what we would do at this point is we would map each of these into each of these columns, right, Miles?
Yes.
But you are going to see your very, very first problem right now trying to do it. Let me show you what this problem actually looks like in real time. I'm going to close out of the valid email ones. And you know what? Since we ran this now, I'm going to go to Google Sheet and I just added I and J. So you can see I, J, and K actually, but this is not fully refreshed yet. So we don't see the actual column name. So I'm just gonna refresh this sheet right now. And the way I do that is by going to this refresh button. And as soon as I click it, I'm gonna scroll down and I should see, okay, so here's the new ones, right? Email 1, email 2, email 3. Let's say I wanted to map only the very, very first email inside of this box. What do you think I would normally do here, Miles?
You would normally map.
So walk me through it. Literally tell me what to click and what to do.
Open up emails.
Open up emails.
And then open up valid emails.
Open up valid emails. What's the problem here?
It's not giving you all of the emails.
It's not giving you all of the emails. That's what it looks like. Technically, it actually is giving you every single email, but you can only see the preview of one of them. And the reason why is because all of these emails are bundled together in a package. They are not their own individual entity. So I can't work with just the first email and just the fourth email. Think about it like they are all in an Amazon box, and you can only work with that box. We haven't yet opened the box and actually picked out what we want to work with from inside the box. This is what you're seeing right now. And the reason you can tell that, Miles, is because what this is, if I just hover over it, do you see the word array?
Yeah, they put all the emails in array. So
that is a very important keyword as to what this is. And this is actually going to lead us to the next part of me explaining to you what is an array and how you are going to be able to work with specific pieces of information that are handed to you in this box situation, right? You're not going to be able to work with the fourth email specifically because they're all in a box right now. So I'm going to show you how are we going to unpack this box and what is an array. This next part is super, super important because you're going to run into this a shit ton of times when you're building AI automation. So me explaining this to you right now is very, very important. And that's going to be the next thing I'm going to explain to you.
So if you map either one of those emails, are all of them just going to show up bunched together in email one?
That is a great question. Let's try it. Let's map this guy right here inside of here. Okay, we just mapped the list. And now I'm going to click save. Now here's the thing when you are dealing with this box or this array. So now we map the box, right? We map the array. We're going to want to run this module only by itself, right, mouse? I'm going to click run this module only. And because we have variables inside of here, we don't have like static information. It's going to ask us for random sample shit, right? We're just going to throw in whatever. None of this matters. We're just doing a test. Now, here's the part where we are adding things in that box, right? Valid emails. We have no items. We're going to add 2 of them. Let's just pretend we have 2 emails. It's going to be miles@gmail.com. And the next one is going to be anmar@gmail.com, right? So now what we did is we added 2 items to that box, and we're going to simulate what would happen if we ran this box right now. So I'm going to click OK, and we can see that it just finished running. So now I'm going to open up Google Sheets, and look what happens. This is what it looks like, bro. Do you see that? Both of these emails that I just threw in, by the way, it extends to the other columns, but they all actually are existing in the first cell right here in email 1. They don't exist in the second one. So do you see why this is ugly?
Yes.
This looks disgusting. Technically, you would have all of them, but they would look like this. So what we have to do is we have to clean this up a little bit. And the part that I'm going to explain to you next is exactly how you're going to be able to clean up and work with specific items that are given to you in a big package, in a big list, in a box, in an array. That is the actual term for it. It's an array. So let me show you how that works. Now here's where shit gets fun, right? Obviously, every step is going to pass information to the next step, but that information might not be always formatted the way that that next module is expecting. And this is where we're going to use something called a function. This is where functions come in, okay? This is a brand new term. Now I'm going to explain to you what is a make.com function. So what is a function, right? A function in Make, all this is a tiny built-in helper tool that is going to let you adjust data before sending it to the next step. It's going to let you play with those pieces of information. So think about it like this, right? You order a pizza, and this pizza comes in, and you don't want olives on the pizza, okay? You want to remove the olives. You're not going to throw away the whole pizza to do that, right? You want something that just removes the olives. So a function in this example is something that we use to only remove just the olives because we want to work with specific things that are in the big package. Does that make sense? Now, why do we even need functions, right? It's the reason why is because apps don't always talk to each other perfectly in the same language. Think about it like this. One app gives you a list, but the next module after it is only asking for one specific thing. It doesn't want a list. Maybe one of them gives you a messy output and the other one expects something a little bit cleaner. They're not on the same wavelength, right? The output of one of them is not usable as input of the next module. So if you don't fix it, your automation is either going to break or it's going to completely send the wrong thing, the ugly thing like I just showed you, or you're going to get an error or it's just going to fail. So in order for us to avoid all of this and make sure that the 2 modules that are talking to each other are speaking the same language, we are going to use a make.com function. That's how we're going to be able to prevent this problem right here. So once again, very, very quickly, it is just a tiny helper tool that lets you adjust pieces of information before it goes to the next module. It's kind of like removing olives from just the pizza because the pizza would be the package and the olives would be the little pieces of things that we want to work with. So a function would help us remove the olives from that pizza. And we need it because some modules don't speak the same language. Think about a Gmail module where it's only asking you for one email, whereas another module gives you a list of emails. You cannot map a list of emails inside of the Gmail module because it's only expecting one of them. So that's a common problem. One of them gave you a list, but the other one gives you one item. And if you don't fix it, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna have a bunch of fucking errors. So in our AnyMail Finder example, right, this is our real example. We run AnyMail Finder, and instead of getting one email, we are getting four, okay? We're getting the CEO, we're getting marketing, we're getting sales, we're getting support, and all these different emails that we don't really fucking care about, nor do we want to all use in the same exact module. We want to use just one of them or maybe another one. Now, we want to use the Gmail module, okay? The Gmail module is only asking for one of these. It doesn't hold a box that's asking for four of them. So make is going to be seeing the thing that comes out of AnyMail Finder as one variable. It's not going to be four different variables. It's only going to be one variable which contains a list. Does that make sense, Miles?
Yeah.
Because those emails are packaged together from AnyMail Finder, Make is going to see them all as one variable, not four different variables like what we want it to be. It's going to be a one variable, which is a list. And that list is called an array. So what is an array in super simple terms? It's just a list of items in order. It's like a grocery list, right? Milk, egg, bread, cheese. It's the same exact concept. It's just a list. Now here's the problem, right? The next module is Gmail, and the to field is expecting one email, but you have a list of four. So if you try to shove all four of them, it's gonna have an error, it's gonna have a mismatch, it's just gonna break. It's just your Gmail module is not gonna work. The reason why is because Gmail expects one email. So now you have this mismatch. And this is exactly why functions exist. It's to fix things like this. And what we're going to be actually using is the get function. That's going to be the one that I'm going to be walking you guys through. There's a bunch of different functions and each of them does a specific job. But the get function, its main job is to literally go into the list and grab a specific item that we want. It's gonna open up that Amazon package and only pull the one thing that we want, right? It's literally gonna reach into it and pull that thing out for us. And this really matters because it's about control. If you don't control the data and what's happening in your AI automation, you are gonna have a lot more errors. You're not gonna be sending the right piece of information, and you're gonna break your AI system before it actually gets used. Which means this thing helps us turn chaos into precision. We have a chaotic list, and we are precisely picking one of them. So that's the entire concept of what a function is in Make. And right now we're gonna use the get function. I'm gonna show you guys how it works, but keep in mind, I'm gonna probably have to go through another video and explain every single function in Make because there's so many different functions and every single one of them is its own tiny little tool. It's its own tiny little helper that will do what you want it to do. So now let me show you how to use the get function. I'm just gonna demo it right in front of you. Let's just say we want the very first email in a list of 9 emails to go into email 1. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this, and at the very top, there's gonna be a tab. It's called General Functions, okay? I'm gonna open this up, and you're gonna see a list of functions right here. And the one that we want is gonna be get, because we're getting something from the list. Now you can see when I hover over it, it shows us an example of how to use this function and what it does. So I'm gonna take a quick picture of this. So I just took a quick picture of this and let me explain to you what this means, okay? This is just an example telling you what you should be typing in the space that is existing inside of the function. So you can see the function itself looks something like this. It starts with get, and then there is an open parenthesis because we can see that right here. And then there is some sort of thing in the middle, which is where this array thing is. It's something that goes here, right between this parentheses. And then we have a semicolon. And then right after the semicolon, we have another space to insert some sort of information. So I'm going to put that space right here. And then it closes off with another parentheses, right? It closes the parentheses. So technically, this right here, what you're seeing, this is the get function. And I want you to understand and note that everything that goes in between the punctuation is going to be the things that the function works with. This is the actual data that the functions work with. So let me just break this down right now. What you're seeing right here, this is an example. And what this tells the function is I want you to get something. Remember, we are getting an item from a list. And the next thing it's telling it, I want you to get that something from this array. Again, the array is the list of emails. So this function so far says, I want you to get me something from this list, and the thing after it, what goes here, Ignore this plus sign, by the way, terrible example, but this is the order of where that thing actually lives in the list. So let's just say this was our array, right? This is what gets filled in to this variable right here. Obviously, the array is a variable, and when this actually gets replaced, it's gonna get replaced with the list. So if I did something like this, where I took an array and I was like, you know what, hey, I want you to get me something from this array that I mapped into it. And Miles, which email do we want from this list, right? We have a list. We want specific email. Which one do you want?
I want justjf@gmail.com.
Just J what?
I want justjf@gmail.com.
So we want just this one. What we would put here is the order that it exists in the list, which would mean this has a 3 in it. That's it. That is literally all it is. The function says, get me a specific item, and I want you to get it from this list, and here's the order where that item exists. That's literally it. So let's just actually put this into practice and show you what it looks like inside of Make. I'm gonna open up the get function. You can see it already comes pre-filled with 2 spaces that you should fill out. You can see there's one right here, and you can see there's one right here. So what do you think should go here on this very, very first space, Miles? Remember our example, okay? And we're literally looking at this example from their example. It tells you what you should do. So what do you think we should do based off of that example? What goes inside of here?
Array?
It's asking
No.
it's asking for the array. What is the array in our situation? Remember, the array is just the list of emails. Where is that? Where's that list of emails here?
Emails or valid emails, right?
This one, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So we're taking this variable, which is an array, and I know it's an array because if I hover over it, it tells me right there on the left side it's an array. So I'm taking this array and I'm putting it right here. So I just threw the array here. Now in this array we have 9 emails. Which one do you specifically want out of the 9?
First one.
No, that's too easy. That's just the very first one. Let's pick the 6th one. Let's just say we want the 6th one out of this 9. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to click save, okay? And then I'm going to test this to make sure that it's actually getting me the 6th one. The way I'm going to test it is by disconnecting the automation right here. And then I'm going to take this logo, which tells make.com which one is the very first trigger, and I'm going to drag it on an email finder. So now what happens when I click run once is it will run here and then jump into here. And let me just make sure we're still on Roto-Rooter. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is just make sure all of this is good. Cool. Let's just run once, and I'm going to open up this module right here. And let me just delete all of this information. Obviously, this is just the last test run that we did because we're going to do a brand new one. And then we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to click run once. Now, before I run it, you see there is a yellow number 1, okay? Which means if I wanted to run it, it's probably going to throw out an error. And the error is, if I open this up, you can see all of those pieces of information that it's expecting now are not filled in. And the reason why they're not filled in, I explained to you earlier, is because we disconnected the thing that they're expecting, right? They're expecting information from module 2. And module 2 is now not connected because we disconnected it right here. So we're going to have to do, Miles, just for this test. What do you think we should do? Just for this like quick test.
Put in some random email.
No.
Or no, some random...
We want to be able to test this without having to go through and statically manually put information into each of these boxes. What do you think we should do?
Just pull one random website.
Where?
Let's pure AI.
But that website doesn't have a list. We want to simulate what would happen if we have a list. Remember, we created a function, right? And we're saying, hey, I want you to get specific thing from an array, and here's the order that it actually lives in that list. So now we want to test this. We want to make sure that this works, which means we need a list of at least more than 6. And so far we have 9 from Roto-Rooter. So how do we test Roto-Rooter with this? Right now we have Roto-Rooter static in here, which means when this guy runs, it's going to be 9 emails in an array. So we're going to feed those 9 emails in an array here. But here is going to have a problem because this is not fully configured. We're going to right click and we are going to clone. We're going to create an exact clone of the thing that we are using, and we're going to attach the clone, and in this clone, I'm going to delete all of this shit. I don't care about it, right? Because it's just a clone. So now I'm going to click save, And what happens is when I run this guy is going to run against Roto-Rooter statically, and it's going to pull those 9 emails. And this, because there's nothing here, it's not going to ask us for anything. It's only going to be doing this thing, which is the thing that we're testing, which is going to be the array and the function. So all I did right now is just cloned it, and I did whatever I want to fuck around with on the one that I'm going to be throwing away. But this is just for the testing purposes. I'm not going to click save. I don't want this to save. So I'm going to click run once, and we're going to jump back in here and see if it actually worked, if we only got 1 email. So boom, here's that run. We can see the first one done, second one is done. Jump back into Google Sheets, and look at that. We only got Sharon. We didn't get that ugly little thing that we saw last time, and we did not get 2 of them. We only got Sharon, which means at this point, let me make sure that Sharon is the 6th out of the list. How am I going to be able to do that? I'm going to click on the output, click on valid emails, and what's number 6?
My girl Sharon.
My girl Sharon. This just told me that the function that we just used worked perfectly. So now, Miles, what we have to do is, since we are using email 1, we're going to change this number to 1. And then we're going to copy this entire function and just paste it under this one and change this number from number 1 to 2 because we want the second one. Does that make sense why we did this and how we're doing it?
Yes.
So now we have a function that's pulling only specific things from the list, and we're telling it what's the order of that thing in the list, and we're just doing that for every single email and where it belongs in our Google Sheet. That's all we're doing right now. So I'm going to undo this. I'm going to unlink this guy, put this guy back here, and then I'm going to do those changes to this one, obviously, because this one is going to be the main one that we want this done with. So I'm going to connect these. I'm just going to fill this out, and hopefully we can skip to the part where this is all done.
Would you do 20 since it already goes up to 20?
I don't think we will even use 20. Why would I go up to 20 if we're not going to use 20? We're only going to be using 1 or 2, maybe 2.
What if you come across a company that has 20 emails?
Well, Roto-Rooter should have 20, right?
Yeah.
Why did we not get 20 out of this guy?
Because it only pulled the valid emails.
Not even that, but I think the way that it works in the background is not something we have control over. You can see we have to dig into the documentation and figure out it's telling us up to 20. Now, whether something happens and it gives us only 11 or 10 or 7, that's not something we can control. That is fully on the API side. And I know that I am just going to use up until 6. I have no use case for anything more than 6. If I wanted to, for some reason, actually pull 300 emails from one specific company, I would not use this method. I would find something totally different. Maybe I would log into an email finder and see if there's an option where I can do that, right? I can pull more than 20. Obviously, the 20 limitation only applies because we're using it through API miles. That 20 limitation may not even exist if we just logged into an email finder and used it in its dashboard. This limitation only exists because we're using it through the API. So I just finished doing 7 of them, okay? I'm gonna click save, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reconnect these so that way this guy stops crying, and then I'm gonna save the entire scenario. So now I'm gonna open this up, and we can see all of this is filled in. It's all pretty, and all of this is now also filled in, and it's also pretty. I'm not even going to bother with testing this because we just tested it right now, and we could see that it successfully pulled one. So the next time we do a run, this whole thing should get filled out with a bunch of emails, which is perfect.
Should we name those ones up there? Email 4, 5, 6, 7?
You could name them, but we already mapped them here. And if we know that these are just going to have emails, naming them is literally just a waste of time. I could just do this and it will not change a single thing. All I'll be doing right now is just wasting time. That's all. But I mean, for organization purposes, absolutely do it. I just don't care because I know what those fields are going to be. And because I just made those changes, by the way, I'm going to open up Google Sheets and then I'm going to click refresh right here because we always want to make sure we refresh the module so these changes actually apply. You can see that, right? Email 7 is now here. Email 6 is now here. We can see all the changes happen. So now we're going to click save, and then we're going to save the automation here, and we are good. Now we're pulling emails, and now we are good on the email part.